Yo, you are muted. There we go. Hey, how's it
Hey,
going?
what's up?
I'm chilling. How about you? Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm chilling. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I'm actually doing pretty good. Yeah. How are you?
You suddenly got kind of echoey and far away.
Um, how about now?
That's fine. There's a little bit of background static, but it's okay. Um, okay, nice. So, how's Melee been going? Like, what's up? Hello? Hello? Seems like we got disconnected or something. Hello? Yeah, no audio is coming from your end, dude. Like in Discord, it's not lighting up green. It's weird. It was working a second ago. It's kind of confusing. Okay, we're just gonna restart the call. Hello. We'll get it. Did I see Spark versus Prof? No. What is interesting? Is it Sheik Dittos? Sheik Marth?
Okay, how about now?
Yeah. Okay. There we go. Are you
Okay,
good? Is
nice.
everything good?
I hope so.
Okay. Okay, yeah, so how's Melee been going lately for you?
Melee has been going all right. I think so. I have like maybe some like general questions, some
Okay.
like general stuff we can talk about. I also sent over some VODs for more specific analysis, but Um, if if we could, I think it'd be cool if we could talk more broadly a little
Yeah, I'm
bit at
down.
first.
Of course.
Um, yeah. Okay. So I guess lately I've been feeling like improvement has been kind of like steady and pretty good. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
I'm like generally every day doing some level of. I'm doing a little bit of VOD analysis. I do a little bit of solo practice, and I always play. I play against like people on unranked, with
Mm-hmm.
like the goal of implementing things that I like specifically point out to myself in my VOD analysis. So it like kind of helps, and I've been like trying to reduce the amount of things that I focus on in VOD analysis, so that way like I have like a more controllable amount of things to work on.
Yes, that's good. I usually recommend that.
Yeah, that was actually something you mentioned that I should do like a few lessons back, and I think it's been helping. But I guess I don't know it. The feeling that I have is that there's some players that I feel like I see them improve tremendously quickly, and I feel like I'm wondering if like I feel like I'm improving pretty well, but I don't know if I'm improving like as fast as I possibly could be.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and so I guess I mean I would imagine that it's kind of just trial and error, and like you kind of just like figure out what as you go along what works best for you to learn as fast as possible, but.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know. Like, do you have any thoughts on like things that you think I or maybe other people should consider doing to like kind of expedite their improvement process?
Hmm.
Like knowing just the little that I've given you about me, that like I do solo practice every day. I mean, I could tell you more about specifics of how I do my
Okay.
practice and stuff,
I
but
think I think ultimately what, like, for instance, kind of like why my Falco got good really fast and stuff like that. Um I think it's because I know what I'm working towards. So a lot of people, I feel like, don't have the context of like what it feels like to be a really good player, or just kind of the general, like, how hard you should be hitting, how your movement should feel, how it should feel to hit combos in a matchup. Um, what it feels like to like sort of have like clutch stocks in a matchup and stuff like that. Like I feel like I have really good context for those things from, high level experiences like Fox and other characters and stuff like that. So ultimately, like when I'm working on my Falco and I'm working on like a matchup or a certain piece of the game, I know what it would be like if I had mastered it. So I can be like, okay, so, and I'll look at VODs or a little bit and I'll think about it and I'll be like, okay, so if I was like a super top player grinder in this regard, like what would it look like? How would it feel? Like, would it, like if it, let's say it's ledge dashes, just to keep it something really really simple for the sake of like example, and it's like if you know that like being good at ledge dashes means that like in tournament you just like land on the ledge and then as soon as you're on the ledge you're off the ledge and like you don't really have to think about it. Like I already know that that's what it's like to have good ledge dashes because I was there. So then I can be like, okay, so now as Falco I can kind of gauge how far behind my ledge dashes are from my Fox ledge dashes based on like how far away it feels from that like level of like mastery or confidence or whatever. So in a lot of situations with like learning combos or whatever, or learning neutral in a matchup, or learning different pieces of Falco, I'm able to be like like I feel like when you're watching VODs and stuff, you'll be like, okay, here's 1 point. Like I learned 1 point of things, and then maybe I get 2 points here and another point here. And when your goal is to just sort of like gain as many points as possible, I think it's a little more ambiguous and complicated, like when to transition into learning a new thing, when to expand off of something, stuff like that.
Yes.
And so
yes,
like
that resonates.
And so I feel like it's kind of like a cheat for me to know already what it's like to be good at stuff, because I can say like, okay, I want to work on the Puff matchup. I want to be better at the Puff matchup, and I'll like already kind of have some ideas of like I watched Bobby play HBox, and I watched one of his sets where he won, and it seemed like he had a lot of like freedom of movement on the platforms. And so I kind of broke it down a little bit in my head and just sort of got like a feeling for like, I should be able to move around that much and be comfortable. And not just like, oh, I'm just going to move around and there we go, that's good enough. But like, I need to be able to like cover all those positions while I'm moving around. So then basically in regard to any in particular piece of the game, I can be like, I want to learn 7 points in this direction. And then once I learn these 7 points, I will be 7 points higher than where I am, which will be, X place. And then I'm like, okay, when I get there, I'm satisfied with that, and I'll move on to this. So I just kind of know, and I've kind of known while the whole time I'm working on Falco, like, how much effort in each area I need to put to get to a certain level of gameplay in that area. And I feel like it just makes it way clearer to, like, build things when you know exactly how much of each thing you're trying to build when you start. I'm not 100% sure on how you can do that without the experience of it. Like in my head, I'm like, oh yeah, just imagine it. But maybe that's like everyone has different experiences and it can be really different. I think something that does help me is to sort of like find, a VOD you want to review of like a Falco player winning or whatever, and like really try to like put yourself in their head. Like pretend you're watching your own VOD, or maybe just kind of zone out and pretend you're like playing, but you're not really, you know what I mean? Like try to just really feel what it's like to be them during the match. And like, do they seem really confident in certain spots, or do they seem really fast in certain spots and stuff? Or like, do they seem like they always get out of certain types of combos? And I'll sort of try to mark these things up as like, how much learning do I need to do in an area to get there? And sometimes my estimates are wrong, but I can usually adjust it based on like while I'm doing the experiences of it. But I think like staying focused on like how much you want to improve in a certain area and like what things need to be done to get to that level. Like I need to be really comfortable against like I need to be really comfortable dashing under Puff or something, or I need to be really comfortable baiting out Puff up airs. So I'm like, okay, I really need to practice that, and I'll practice baiting out the up airs. And I'm like, okay, am I good enough at baiting out the up airs yet? Does it feel like the player that I was trying to, whose level I was trying to reach in that regard when I do it? And if it's not, then why? Do I need to be faster, more consistent? Do I need to kill more often? And then sometimes I'll also base it not just on VODs, but on like a theoretical version of Falco that I think he can do. And I'll be like, okay, I want to try to get like this feeling of consistency, kind of like the feeling of like, for example, like I was watching Null versus Nut last night at Verdugo, and Nut was playing neutral crazy well, but then he didn't have like, I don't even know what to call it, like the accidental kills, kind of not accidental kills, but it's just like something wacky happens and then the player's like, aha, that's situation A. Like for example, Null kept hitting him off stage and then he would get regular get up wave shine across the stage up smash, but Michael or Nut had no equivalent to that, and so it sort of really made him like lose or whatever. And so if I was him, I would sort of watch it and be like, I see he has these like chaos into kill confirms and they happen at this certain frequency. I need something of that level, and I would be like, okay, what can I do to reach that level of that or whatever? Okay. It's difficult. I'm reducing it as much as I can, or like trying to describe it, but I understand how that might not be enough to implement it.
So yeah, I think if I'm kind of understanding what you're saying, it's like a lot of it sounds like for you it was like the context of your previous experience as a top Fox, and then
I think that helps.
Yeah, and then like you're saying that for someone else like me, maybe it would help to like emulate that context by watching a top Falco and like imagine what they're doing and try to like build my improvement towards the good things that they're doing that I'm like am identifying as lacking.
Mm-hmm. Well, to be fair, like I'm saying that like the Fox experience, I think just makes me better at estimating, but I'm going through that exact same process that I described, where I watch the video and I'm like, what does it feel like to be Mango here? Why does he feel so confident going in this spot? Why I need to get that good at going in that spot or something like that.
Right. So you've kind of got like both things going for you, which probably helps a lot. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I think that's why it's like my Falco kind of like cheats on improvement is because of that Fox of the Fox stuff, and it just makes it easy to estimate how much I need to do to like overcome any individual obstacle.
Yeah. I think that's something I was saying like that kind of resonates, that like I don't know how much effort I should be putting towards improving at any one thing. It feels like at the moment it's kind of like I'm kind of using intuition when I do VOD analysis, where I'm like intuiting that this situation where I get hit feels like a situation that I don't, or not intuition, it's like my feelings, like how do I feel about getting hit in this spot, or how do I feel I played this spot. And I'm like, if I really don't like that I got hit in a certain spot, I will like tend to prioritize that as something that I want to work on. But I don't know if that's actually conducive to improving the most. And like I imagine that when you say that your estimation skills have improved because of your time as Fox, that's probably part of what you mean. Like you know more accurately what you need to be working on when you look at yourself.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like what's what would probably help the most in this regard.
Because I don't know if it's an easy fix. I'm just curious because I feel like I hear stories about players like Zane who just like become like a top 3 player in 6 years, and it's like, I don't know, is that normal? Like, how does that happen? Like, what is he doing?
Yeah, I mean,
like, there's
Zane is
something
not
I'm missing.
the right example.
Yeah, but like he's still a human. Like there's something he's doing.
Yeah, he's playing.
That I think anybody else should have.
Yeah, he's playing 12-hour days. Like
I see.
He played like 12-hour days for like those whole 6 years.
I see.
Like,
So you think it's like the grind? It's just like the constant effort.
well, it's like, you know the thing you're doing where you find a thing and you fix a thing and then you find a thing and you fix a thing?
Yeah.
Like, if you do that 12 hours a day for 6 years, you will be top 10 at least.
I see. I see.
Like,
Yeah.
because when Zane is, and it's like Zane and Cody, because people talk about the grind, but there's plenty of people playing 6 to 8 hour days who aren't that great. And it's just that the whole time they're playing, Cody or Zane, they always are muttering things like, "Oh, I can't let you get away with that. Oh, I need to be doing this here. Oh, I need to be doing that here." And so they're constantly just fixing these little things and doing it for like huge amounts of time. And not even necessarily in any particular order, just in whatever order they feel like. But they're doing it in like a lot of, they're just doing it a lot of times. And if you want to get good without the super grind like that, you just need to get better at prioritizing so that, like, maybe in those 3 hours of grinding, you learn at 90% effectiveness of what someone else gets in 6 hours of grinding because you focused only on the more important parts of your style rather than like every little piece.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, no, there's nothing crazy special about Zane that's like different than other people except for the fact that he's just obsessed with like playing the game. Like, Zane will, like, finish a whole stream and, just show up and play his Falcon versus Kalindi's Falco in the Discord for, like, 2 hours and then go on unranked afterward. And, like, there's a funny story where he went to bed with like his girlfriend, said goodnight, and then she fell asleep and he just got up and just runs back over to the computer to grind.
Yeah.
After grinding all
that.
day. So it's like, if you're at that level of obsession that you just play nonstop all day every day, then yeah, you're gonna get good in 6 years. In fact, 6 years seems like a while when you're putting in that much time.
True.
So it's like, when you grind super stupid hard, you just don't have to worry as much about the prioritizing and the estimating and stuff like that, because you're like, I'll get through it. I'm just gonna grind. But if you have a little bit less time, then the estimating and stuff like that becomes a lot more prevalent. Like, if you want to be really good, really fast, what you just like the main skill is figuring out what you have to change. And I try to sort of give people that skill while I like help them with like analysis and stuff like that, to like try to find things that repeat, try to find things that seem to swing the match one way or the other, and either repeat those things if they're good for you or avoid those things if they're bad for you. And that's really all it is. Like, that's really all I'm doing. And honestly, from my end, it does feel quite mysterious why I seem to improve faster at stuff than a lot of my peers in terms of melee stuff. Like, I don't feel like I'm doing anything particularly crazy. I think a lot of it, like I said, is just expectation based. You know when you see somebody play the game and like you see Zane or Cody and you can like feel the 8 hour days, like you can feel it in like their optimization and like the way they like can pick every position correctly. It's like there are sort of these like levels of confidence and stuff in the game and like your game plan, and the goal a lot of times is to get your in-game skill high enough that you can start taking sets off of players at like a certain mental level of the game. And then once you can kind of break into like a tier, it's way easier to steal the sort of mental habits of those players. I'm not sure if that makes total sense, but it's kind of like you sort of see it with like improvement, or like, I don't know, maybe like Jmook is a good example, like recently, where you start taking these top 5 sets and you're clearly like not a top 5 player, but you're taking sets off top 5ers, and then like as you do that a little bit, you start understanding like how does it feel to beat a top 5 player? How does it feel to get clutched on by a top 5 player, you know? And you start building these like experiences towards like mentally being at that level by just getting your gameplay good enough that you can kind of like compete at that level. So
Right.
a lot of it is just like fixing parts of your gameplay that are less effective, and you need to get them up to a level that is like above where you're at, and then taking some sets off of people at that level, and then like mentally acclimating yourself to like, this is my level of player now, and sort of mentally adjusting like your expectations. Because like, if your expectations of your Falco are to like kill in neutral once every, or like kill out of your neutral opening, and it takes 4 per stock, and that's just sort of your expectation, whether it's subconscious or conscious, is like, you're not going to do that well. But like, when you're playing against players that kill you out of 2 neutral openings, and you're kind of good enough to compete with them, it does a really good job of adjusting your expectations. Like, no, I need to be killing 1 out of every 2 neutral openings every time, you know? And I think it's a lot harder to maintain that discipline when you're not playing against players of those at that level and like considering them equals. So it's kind of like a mental ladder you can climb to like that's how people get good like crazy fast, is you kind of just pop into that mental level and then you just absorb from it. And sometimes people have kind of cheats to get there, like like maybe an example. There's like some examples, usually like Marth players, I guess, kind of like Logan or Kadoran type vibe, where like people get good, but they're kind of imbalanced in the game. But then like, but they have these few parts of the gameplay that can carry them at first, and then once they start taking some sets off of the top players using those kind of gimmicky things, they're able to just be at that level mentally and kind of acclimate to it, and then they can kind of like bring their gameplay up afterward.
Right.
I don't know. I feel like I was rambling a little bit, but I'm really trying to get across like how I see it.
No, I think I kind of follow what you're saying. I know that like Kadoran, I've like listening to him talk before. He sounds like he like early on really prioritized only learning things that were extremely productive for him winning in tournament.
Yeah,
and, like that's how he was able to like accelerate his improvement. Like,
and he plays
pretty
Marth
quickly. Yeah, I don't. I don't want to speculate on character stuff.
No, it's just that
feel like
I
understand. I just personally don't like doing it. But
it's just,
I know where you're coming
Marth just has a way to sneak into top level based on that sort of like mental ladder system thing I was talking about, by like just getting good at beating spacies, and they're like kind of cheating up the ladder, and then you mentally acclimate, and then you learn the other matchups. That's just something we've kind of seen with Marth for like a while. Even Zane did it. Like he had to kind of learn the Sheik, Falcon, Puff. Those all came a little bit after he was like a spacey killer at the top level. So
Yeah,
that's more
true.
of like a note for like Marth thing, where I don't want to be like, yeah, like the Marths are all right. It's just that they're right for how to get good as Marth. As Spaceys, I still think it's kind of similar, where you mostly just want to learn like the Spacey matchups, and then you branch out a little bit. At first, anyway, I think you're kind of past that already, but
Yeah, I feel like I think that was helpful for sure.
okay. I
I've
think
got some
more
stuff to think
questions and
about.
stuff from you will help me direct it a little bit better. 'Cause it's just like a really big question. It's difficult to answer.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. It's like I feel like I very, very gradually, slowly but surely am beating slightly better and better players um, that I fight, and it feels like the characters that I'm beating are a pretty like wide variety because I'm not really honing in on specific character matchups.
Yeah, definitely.
If like whoever I lose to, I just decide to study that person. So like if I lose to like Ringler, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna sit down and like lab out some DK stuff.
I do that too.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, or if I lose to like I don't know, Franz or something, I'm like, well, I need to figure out some like dock edge guards and like
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Yeah, I think that like I put in more effort than a lot of like maybe my peers. Maybe I don't know, but it
Mm-hmm.
feels like I see other like players around my level who are like feel noticeably like faster and more consistent and punish harder in like the spacey matchups or even like versus Sheik and Marth. And then like I feel like I'm a lot slower and like not as clean, but I like tend to have a little more broad, diverse knowledge
Mm-hmm.
across like more matchups. So I feel like maybe the issue there is I'm kind of wasting some of my effort a little bit, but maybe not. I don't know how to think about that.
No, I don't think you should really worry about that. I guess I got on a little bit of a tangent just because I used Marth as like an example. I don't think you're doing anything wrong by being a little bit more well-rounded. Um, Although I do think that that feeling of like my peers are better than me at X, like, is a good indicator of something that you should target. Um, so, for
Right.
example, like just in terms of like my Falco journey, I spent quite a long time just working on like the defense and like the lasers and stuff, and I feel like I got to a point where I felt like, yeah, like my lasers and my defense and like my spacing are kind of better than most of the other like players at my level, but I noticed that like a lot of them were faster than me and comboed harder, and that's why I haven't really been doing it too much after Double Down, just because I haven't really gotten any good momentum for it. But like that sort of like aggro speed style I was playing was just like, all right, I'm just gonna grind this one aspect to try to like cover this thing, because I was like, I'm basically slower than every Falco of the same level, you know, and that's like a good indicator that I should be faster. So that was kind of like
Yeah.
how I went about fixing that. Anything that your peers are better than you at, you can be better than them at. It's it's very tempting to get put into like a role of like I'm the smart Falco and they're the dumb Falcos, and like that's fine to do, but then you're like they're the dumb fast Falcos and I'm the smart slow Falco. Like, no, wait a minute, they can be dumb if they want, but they don't get to be faster than you. You know?
Right. I think like I felt that when I played versus Bobby. I'm not saying that he's like a peer of mine in skill, but I do pretty well like against him whenever I match with him on unranked. But it feels like he moves a lot faster than I do, and I don't know. I'm like I guess I could like I don't know what that means to like get faster. I think I know generally, like intuitively, but I don't think I have anything specific. If I don't have like a specific direction, like what am I supposed to like when I sit down and practice, what is that what do I tell myself that I need to work on? Like
Uh huh.
if I could enumerate that, like what
Okay.
would that look like? You know what I
Okay, well,
mean?
for me, the speed had like a couple parts to it. The main one is be pressing buttons as quickly as possible without doing something bad. And that kind of starts
Yeah.
as like not pressing any buttons wrong, like not missing any L cancels, not missing any wave dashes, not missing any dashes out of wave dash. And then, so like when I was first doing the super fast Falco, I was like, at first I was just slow, and I was like, okay, I need to get fast. I need to press more buttons, 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 like as many buttons as I can possibly fit into a space. Like if I can do an edge cancel into a wave dash, into a shield drop, into another wave dash, I'm going to do it. And I would just try to press as many buttons as possible. And then I kind of reached a point where I was like, all right, now my Falco is faster, but it's way dumber. And then it's like you kind of struggle to the next level, which is like, okay, now I'm going to be trying to press buttons as fast as I can without being stupid, and sort of work on that. And the advantage of being fast a lot of times is that like when you're trying to press buttons as fast as you can, and like let's say you get jabbed out of your movement or something like that, um, how do I describe it? Think of it as like it's just a simple example is like if you're dash dancing slow, like you're going like tick 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 tick, you know, and somebody
Uh huh.
jabs you out of it, then like the time before your next dash is like gonna be a decent amount of time because they're like tick 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 tick, and they interrupt you before the next tick, then like there's like this space of time before the next dash input will come. But if you were dash dancing crazy fast with the stick as fast as you can, and they jab you, you're going to like resume dash dancing faster because more inputs were like coming out, so there's like less of a gap between the interruption and the next thing you're doing. And so a lot of times, when you're like, let's say I'm playing super fast and I'm doing like shine downer type thing, and then like I'm not like you end up in situations where like something unexpected happens, but you'll be able to like react out of it quicker because you're already pressing buttons. And what it does is it kind of gives you this like scramble strength of like any situation, because like the sort of first level of the game is like you want to make sure to only play the situations that are good for you, and you want to like that's kind of like the basic neutral that can carry you a really long way, is like you want to avoid situations that are bad and then play the ones that are good. But the truth is, when your opponent is equally as good as you, as hard as you try to only be in good spots, there's going to be a lot of times where you're in bad spots. And being the second level of the game is like trying to make those bad spots as strong as possible. And a lot of times that being like jabbed or interrupted or hit away, and then just like, oh, I slid off and I immediately kept playing the game and tried to hit him. And so a lot of times speed is more about like really fast intentions. Like, I'm going in, I'm wave landing. Okay, did this happen? No, I'm wave landing again. I'm moving forward, I'm moving back. Like, I'm lasering, I'm moving forward, back to the platform again. Like, sort of like changing the speed and improving the speed at which you are making decisions, and then working through and trying to make those decisions better after. Because at sort of top level, everybody is playing like, that like, I don't know, just think of some super cracked fox, okay? Like, let's say Cody. Every player at the top level is playing the game as fast as Cody, roughly. So, right. Like, if he plays against Polish, or if he plays against Zane, or if he plays against Laud, or Wizzy, or HBox, or whatever, all of these people are playing the game at that high rate of speed in terms of decision making. Mango too. But their inputs might not actually be that fast, but they're making those decisions. Whereas like a long dash forward for a lesser player might be one decision of like a big dash forward. Whereas like for a top player, that might be 4 decisions of like dash forward, continue dashing forward, continue dashing forward, continue dashing forward. And that's the same movement in the game, but they might perceive it as like more choices because they're making choices faster. And that's really what speed is more fundamentally about.
Right. Okay. So, I guess the idea is like, I mean, I've actually experimented with trying to play fast in the past, and like my experience has been, and maybe I don't know, you can help me kind of understand this. Like, it feels like I try to do some really like specific and very quick movement in neutral near my opponent, and like I don't really feel like I'm doing anything, like I'm not really looking at the screen and making a good decision. So I guess is the idea that like I'm trying to just move my hands faster than my head can keep up, and I just don't worry at first about whether I know what's going on?
Yeah, you want your hands to be going way faster than what your head can do. At first. Like, because you have sort of been going in the direction of like head first, where like you figure out what you want, you figure out what you should do, and then you make your hands do it. And
yes,
that is like ultimately the best road in my opinion. That's the way I like to do it too, but it leads to like a weakness of that sort of speed element, and so sometimes you just need to take a break and go like full super speed mode to make sure your brain isn't always the like limiting factor. making sure your hands aren't always the limiting factor for your brain. Like, you want it to be like, my hands can go this fast, but my brain is not going fast enough. And so it'll sort of catch your brain up a little bit more to speed of like how fast you should be playing. So yeah, it's like you can kind of just go faster than your hands can, or than your brain can keep up with, and then until it doesn't take that much effort, because at first it'll take so much mental effort just to be pressing buttons constantly. It's just like go, come on, faster, like constantly. It takes a lot of effort. But once you do it for a little bit, it becomes a little bit more automatic. And then as soon as it becomes a little bit more automatic, you can use that extra processing that's not getting used to go fast to look at what you're doing and try to adjust it. And in my experience, it happens kind of automatically. Like, if you go super fast for a while and you're more of a brain player, your brain will start to slowly pick it apart. But it's just important to be playing at that super high speed, even if you're not, like, moving at that speed, eventually. But you need to train yourself to, like, make decisions at that speed first. And the best way to do that is at least moving that fast. So it's like, you move that fast, which forces you to learn to make decisions that fast. Once you make decisions that fast, you no longer have to move that fast.
Okay. I wonder, I just had a thought while you were explaining this. I wonder if it would help for me if or maybe you've done this, would it help if I just looked at only myself when I'm playing and not worry about what my opponent's doing? So that way I can just worry about making sure I'm like able to execute movements as fast as possible and not really worry too much about what's happening from my opponent's side?
Yeah, when you're learning the button part, I actually recommend that. Okay, yeah, that might be a good idea. I might try that then. And to make up for I'll try to impose like little rules, just a couple little rules on it. Like, I'm not really thinking about what I'm doing, but I'll try to be like, I should late aerial almost every time, you know, or something like that, because otherwise you just end up doing laser early down air and get grabbed, and that doesn't really let you be fast.
Yeah, that's a problem that I've had, so that makes sense.
So, like, I'll be like, well, I'm really fast, but I also need to, like, not entirely forget about lasers, like, all the time. Like, sometimes when you're going fast, you can forget about lasers, and it's like, just, like, shoot them here or there. Don't end up playing, like, totally laserless Falco, even though you'll be a lot less laser heavy when you're playing fast. But yeah, no, I agree with that.
Okay, that's good. I think so. I think that's super helpful. I think for now I have a lot to work on in that area. So I appreciate it. I think in the last few minutes, if we could look at maybe one of the Marth games. That'd be
sure.
Cool.
I actually think we have. Let's see. We have like 20 minutes. I think we have like 20 minutes left. So.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah, we started around 4:08 and it's 4:46, so we have till 5:08. So we have a decent amount of time.
Okay.
All right. Let me screen share you.
Yeah.
Okay. Screen share is working?
Yep, I see.
Okay. And so, yeah, I'm just going to go over it like a normal VOD, or do you have anything you want me to be looking for, or?
Okay, so I think, in the context, in referencing the conversation we just had, maybe if you could, looking at this VOD, what would you say if this was like, pretend you're me, the Blue Falco, and you're analyzing yourself, like, if you could watch it and say, like, these are the most important things that I would take away from this VOD, and I wouldn't, like, because I get messed up in a ton of ways, but, like, what are the, like, maybe 2 or 3 biggest things that you would suggest to, like, lead to the most immediate improvement?
Okay,
like,
I'll try looking at it. I feel like I usually kind of do that in general when I look, but I can think about it.
Or if, like, you could explain your thought process even. Like, why do you think that those things are the most important? Like, that might help me to understand how you're looking at it.
Okay, I'll do my best to try to get that across.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so the first way that I look at VODs, like the main way, is I just look at where I died, like what killed me. That's like the first thing I look
Right.
at when I'm like irritated about losing. Freaking, you're so good sometimes, dude. Like, this is just like exactly like if you land this shine at 5% off of the shine grab, then the shine is the best option. You crossed up the shine, and then the best option here is the up air, which you did, and then you do this dash dance to the left here, and then you get him to double jump because he thinks you're going to double jump back here, and then you go right back and you get slightly behind him and underneath him so the up tilt hits. It's just like, dude, that's freaking so good. I would definitely watch this and be like, yeah, good job, self.
Yeah, I was.
Like, if I was watching mine and the dash, no, this is a down air.
I wasn't sure if it would link. I guess.
No, it always links.
Okay, yeah.
Like, I just assume it'll always work. If it doesn't work because you're either slow or something has gone wrong, you will get weak fared and be fine.
Oh, true. Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Yeah, so nothing's really gone wrong for you yet. So I would be like, okay. Like, there's always going to be a million things that you're doing wrong. Okay, I would actually look at this, because I would be like, why did I not kill him off of this, you know? So, a couple things that I would look at, I would be like, okay, I need to make sure to always laser here. Like, drop off, double jump, laser these double jumps. I would think about that.
Okay.
Because you're Marth killing so early, like impossibly early, and you could just be lasering him and threatening all kinds of things here to make his recovery harder. So I'd be thinking about that, and then I'd be like, okay, how did I miss this back air? The grab ledge. Oh, back air too early. There's no, like, I can just wait a little bit and back air a little bit later to make sure he goes off stage the right way. And I'd be like, okay, that was what I learned from that, was like laser the edge guard, don't Marth killer too early, and make sure I don't do this early back air and reverse hit. And then I would just move on. Okay. And I'd probably look at this nair. Be like, okay, because I don't want to get hit out of corner pressure. I'd be like, oh, I shouldn't have backflipped there. I should have probably done like a laser dash dance. I would just keep in mind, like, okay, don't like drift in aerial too hard in the corner when I'm not sure what Marth's gonna do. And I would make it, that's kind of like a more abstract note, but I would just kind of leave it there. Like, I would just make a little side note in my brain of like, check to see if I do any other dumb drifts into the corner this match or something like that.
Sure. Okay.
Okay, and then I'd be like, huh, okay, was this the tournament winnering too early? Or not the tournament winning, the Marth killing too early? And I'm like, yeah, I probably could have gotten a laser or two here, so yeah, it was too early. And it would have hit his side B, and it would have ruined a lot of his drift, so... okay, nice edge guard. Okay. Nice. Nothing... Nice. I actually really like a lot of the stuff you're doing. Okay, nice. Yeah. Chilling. Okay, you still haven't died, so I'm not that concerned. Like, whatever you're doing wrong here is clearly not killing you, at least against this opponent, so... Okay. I feel like you're definitely playing it pretty well. Aha! I would definitely look at this and be like, I should not do that.
Yeah.
I would look and be like, oh, I'm so dumb. Why do I even do this backwards double jump? It's not good.
Yeah.
And then I'd move on. I'd be like, okay, that was one. I'd be a little irritated inside.
I think in that spot...
Oh, dude, you're actually doing things so well. Like, the sharks and stuff you're doing are, like, really good. So I'm really happy to see those.
Yeah, I think... I don't know if I'd mess up that last up air, or if I could have spot dodged his down air on the way down, because I've seen IBDW do spot dodge on the
yeah, right. It's a little ambiguous. Like right here, I kind of like jumping into it because you're a 0. Like jumping into this is pretty good.
Jumping into it.
Yeah, like I'll just like jump up air here, or jump back air, or jump nair or whatever, and then if he down airs me, I just get like a shine. You can even like jump shine it, and then if he hits you, you just land and shine him. It's just like a thing to be aware of at low percent. You could also spot dodge, but the up tilt is not good just because like
Yeah,
this happens. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and the sharking is all good. Like even like the neutral spacing and stuff, I just like all of it pretty much. I do see this, and I would maybe note that maybe this is I'm being a little too aggro into the corner. That is what I would think.
Yeah, that's like a theme.
Yeah, it's like it happened twice. Okay, power shield interaction. I haven't died. You haven't died yet again, so I wouldn't really be that concerned. Although I would be like, here's that stupid double jump again.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'd be like, I gotta stop that. Okay. Because sometimes I'll notice something that I die for, and I'll be like, wait a minute, that's like sometimes I'll notice there's something I died for before that I do again, and I get away with it, and I'm like, wait a minute, should still not be doing that one.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do you get opened up here? Okay, the power shield. This looked like
that was.
I think you just literally shot the laser like 1 frame late. Or maybe you didn't fast fall after shooting the laser quickly enough or something. This was like a missed input from your end. This should have worked. Yeah, you just shot the laser too late. So it comes out when you're already falling, which makes it so you can't fall past the power shielded laser, is what it looks like. Because if it came out right here, and then it would go pew, and then it would go over you, so it just barely hits your head, and then you get hit out of it. Not something I would focus on. Looks like a misinput. I'd be like, okay, so I died out of a misinput there. The first stock was the double jump, and the second stock was like a misinput. Otherwise, it looks like you're kind of messing them up. I'm like, okay. Does this kill you? It could kill you. So, how did this happen? Okay, laser, dash back, approaching laser, shine. Okay. Okay, so I would be like, huh, this seems like maybe another issue where I moved into the corner. Like, when I have him in the corner, you do this wave dash back in, and that's what got you hit. I'd be like, okay, moving into the corner is maybe I'm being a little too aggressive there, maybe. And then you kind of do this same movement back into Marth here without setting up a laser. So I'd be like, okay, be really careful moving in on Marth without setting up a laser. Be careful moving in on Marth when he's in the corner. And I would sort of start looking at those situations, like if I played more friendlies that day or something, or while I'm working on it, I would pay extra attention to those situations and be like, am I doing the bad drift in the corner thing? Am I being too aggro in the corner? Am I making sure to hit the laser before I like deal with Marth, you know? And that's really all I would have taken from this game so far if it were me. Okay, and died. Did you die off a side beam misinput? Okay. Not quite. Okay, nice. Okay, he kind of just gets that random up tilt. Okay, and then trade. Yeah. If this were me, that's all I would get out of it, and I would literally just go to the next game. Like, I think a lot of times when I'm watching like a student or whatever, I want to try to like understand a lot more of their there's a lot more to understand of like your style and stuff. Like I could watch that VOD again from a different perspective and probably, you know, mention other things you could think of when you're playing neutral or punish and stuff like that. Like there's definitely some punish stuff you could optimize. But if I was just looking at my stuff, that's pretty much how I would look at it. You still there, right? Hello? I can't hear you anymore. He just DM'd me. My headphones aren't out. Is he coming through Discord? How do I look at the member? Oh, there we go. Hello? Hello?
Hey, can you hear me?
I can now. There's a lot of background noise, but I can hear you again.
Okay, yeah, sorry. I think I just stopped hearing you for like a few minutes there. I don't know what happened.
You couldn't hear me for a few minutes?
Yeah, no, I haven't been able to hear you for like the past 3 minutes.
3 minutes. Wow. Okay, I saw you message me only like a minute ago. Huh. Okay, what was the last thing you remember me saying?
I think it was like in the middle of the FD game, and it was like maybe a little bit after the jumping into his downer to like counter hit shine him.
Oh, wow. Okay. Um,
Well, like if you could just like I don't know, was there anything like important that
I'm gonna
you mentioned?
recap what I said. So
Okay.
basically, I think you got hit off of a couple missed inputs and stuff like that. And so there wasn't really anything I would take out of it where I was saying like I would take out the stuff that I already mentioned where like you like maybe you're being a little too like aggressive into the corner. Like you did like dash forward, wave dash back into Marth Nair in the corner, and then you did another one and then got nared and then kind of got comboed out of it. And it was kind of like okay, maybe make sure you establish the lasers when Marth is kind of more cornered and don't like press in too hard. And that was almost like pretty much all I would take out of it. But I was also saying that there's like that's just if it were me. Like if I'm going over a student's VOD and I have like an hour to help them and I'm trying to get as much info as possible, I will look at more elements of it to try to like maybe pick up at the combos or talk about more of the neutral stuff. But if I'm just watching mine and I'm trying to learn from like a bunch of Slippy files that I have, that's about the limit of it. I just kind of looked how you died, and two of the times you died were from like random tech flubs you did, and then the other times you got hit were mostly of you overcommitting into the corner, and that's all I would really get out of it outside of that one edge guard thing we looked at.
Okay.
So if it were mine, I'd probably just be moving through faster, or I would just be moving on to the second video.
Yeah.
So yeah, like once again, I'm just gonna look through and just kind of see how you die, because that's usually the most important. Okay, you could have died here, and I'm curious what causes this. Oh, you just shine too early out of the CC shine. It was actually such a good CC shine. Okay, so you just kind of flubbed the CC shine. Slippy? Okay. Nice, 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 nice. Sheesh. You're crazy sometimes. Okay.
Yeah, I think probably should have just down aired or down smashed.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of optimizations that you could do on, like, Marth and Punish, but overall,
Right.
pretty good. Okay, and what killed you? Just, like, you just kind of get... Oh, you did this run-off back air. That's kind of lazy. Like, right here. That got you grabbed. And that kind of... And the Nair was a little bit lazy, but it was definitely because of... and spot dodged. So I'd be like, okay, when I get hit by Marth, or I'm in kind of a bad spot, don't get like lazy and just start throwing out moves. Like make sure to go for like the reset is like what I would probably take from that.
Right.
I just sort of gather these little notes and then see if they start coming up a lot, or if I see like obvious situations to fix them in. Okay, let's see what happens here. Yeah, so far been pretty good. Been like mitigating the risk really well. Okay. So what killed you here? Sometimes against Marth, the smallest little things kill you. Okay, overcommitted on the back air, and then you just get caught in this whole thing. I don't even know if there's that much to glean from that. I would probably just kind of ignore that.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't seem like you want to look for like themes, like you were saying, or things that like repeat. That's what you really want to be looking for.
Yeah, I think that's what it feels frustrating to me when I have VODs where it feels like it's just like a lot of little things and nothing like huge. Because then it's like I don't know how I'm supposed to like improve like at a like bombastic star-studded rate if I'm like just like, well, I have to work on like 10,000 little things instead of any
Yeah,
like one
no,
or two
it's
big things, you
it's
know?
never true that you have to work on 10,000 little things. In my experience, at least, it's just not a true thing. So I think like when you have a VOD that doesn't tell you what you're bad at, you should just kind of ignore the VOD. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was talking. I
Oh, I
didn't see
see.
the end of
So
that.
do, so
What's up?
you actually will ignore VODs if you think that they're not like you if there wasn't anything like super obviously repetitive there weren't like any obviously bad patterns or anything like that.
Yeah, I come into VODs with questions, and sometimes those questions don't get answered when I'm watching the VOD, and so I just ignore it. And sometimes that VOD can be useful later for other questions, but it might not be useful for like those particular questions. Like you're like, okay, I was on the ledge and Marth came off and fared me, and then I died out of that. Like, is there really a lot to learn there? Like, not really. Like, until I watch other matches and I keep getting hit by that fair. Like that's the thing is like if you watch through a match and all you see is like 15 random one-off little situations and that's why you lost, then and you can't find any pattern, like you can usually find some pattern between them that like links them together that's usually tied of like, oh, I'm not thinking of this right or I'm overcommitting into the corner. Like you can make these abstractifications of stuff. Um, but sometimes you watch through and it's just like, yeah, it's just like four stocks of just getting random little thinged on, and then you just ignore that. You could like
Yeah.
what you might do is you might make little notes of like, okay, so Marth got that dumb little fair thing, and I overcommitted on the back air, and I spot dodged the dash dance, and you can like sort of make little mental notes of those things. But if there's no pattern, you just move on and keep watching VODs until you see a pattern. So maybe that fair is just a one off, and then who cares? But what if next game that same fair happens? Then I'm like, okay, wait a minute, I need to fix that, you know?
Yeah, like I think even just now watching this with you, I feel like I'm starting to see that like it happened a few times that I died for trying to do something at the ledge against
Mm-hmm.
Marth. Um, yeah, I don't know, just something about the way that I'm playing at the ledge against him is not working out.
Do you have any other VODs that we could go over really quick?
Yeah, of the same. I actually have two more games versus the
That's
same Marth.
perfect.
If you
Let's
want me
just go over both of those really quick. I'll just
to.
watch
Okay,
straight through them.
sure, sure.
But yeah, it's all about like just looking for the patterns that are like affecting the game. And when you can't find a pattern, don't be like, well, I guess I'll just fix these little things. You just have to keep looking for the patterns. Because things will repeat. You will get repeated
The
patterns
most
and
useful.
problems that happen over and over if you keep watching. Nice.
Okay, actually, that might be some of the most useful advice that I've gotten. Um, I think maybe I need to like help condense down what I study. Is I should be focusing on just any little things. Try to like see if there's a connecting, overarching pattern.
Mm-hmm. And this is something I always notice just because it's like a thing that happens is, oops, got hit by runoff fair. And
Yeah,
like part of the rule against Marth is just never get hit by it. So I would just make a note. Let's make sure it doesn't happen again. We'll see. You got hit moving towards Marth when he was kind of in the corner again. This has happened like several times so far. So I would be like, okay, when I'm in center
yeah,
and Marth's in the corner, I need to be a little bit more patient. And I would just kind of note that.
right.
Okay, and that double jump thing is a little suspect, but it only happened once. So it's not a big deal. Man, freaking die off that, crazy. Okay, and then this is kind of obvious. Like, okay, don't go into the corner while you're invincible. That's an easy fix.
Yeah,
And there's some like those are the types of patterns that are like so universal across all players and matchups that like even if I'm not going into the VOD looking for it, I'll see it. Of like, oh, don't corner yourself while invincible.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, but beside that, nothing has really.
I've already like Sorry, I was just gonna say like I've reviewed these VODs already and taken my own notes, and like I had definitely already noted that like in general I need to be way more patient when Marth corners himself, either during my respawn or when I just have him in the corner.
Yeah, you overcommitted to the corner here, and you kind of just get super comboed for it. Nothing you can really do there. Yep. Just getting really impatient, making bad choices. Jumping into the corner over and over. Got hit by the fair. Yeah. I would chalk this game up to, like, my games against Marth need to go at least, like, 2.5 minutes. Like, you don't want 45-second games against Marth, because it's not going to be... You're not going to be the one with stocks at the end of a 45-second game.
True, yeah.
So it's like, okay, there needs to be more space between neutral interactions. This kind of goes in the direction of, like, the overcommitting into the corner thing, but it's more even, like, a little bit, you know, broader than that. It's like, okay, I get a little bit tilted and get a little over-aggressive. No, you didn't shoot a single more than one laser in a row, like, that whole game. You didn't, like, retreat or, like, use the stage space, and so it's like, okay, that's kind of just a bad one. And then, like, okay, this one is, like...
Do you have any...
Yeah.
Sorry, I was going to ask, because this actually came up recently. I've been thinking about this a lot. How do you have any tips for how to stick to your game plan even when you're like maybe getting flustered? Like, do you think about that at all? Like, I imagine you probably have to like have some like strategy or thing that you think about when you're like feeling that you're slipping away from your game plan.
You just make sure you press the buttons that are in the game plan. Like, it's better to follow the game plan badly than to let go of the game plan. So sometimes when I'm just not following it and I'm losing anyway, I'm like, I'm just going to do the plan and lose. It's way better than not doing the plan and losing. And then sometimes when you do the plan, you just win anyway. Which is why the goal should just always be to do the plan and not win. Like, the goal is just do the plan and then don't worry about it. So it's like, if I'm losing and I'm getting frustrated, I'm just like, whatever. I'm just going to do the plan and then I'll lose and then I'll look at the VOD.
Yeah.
A lot of times if you get
I've been
flustered,
doing that a little more.
And a lot of times if you get flustered in a training session, you have to just take a break. You can't just, like, if you're just mid-games and you're suddenly getting four-stocked a bunch and stuff, just, like, give me a 5-minute break. You know, go to the bathroom, get a drink of water, and read your notes again, and then play it again.
Yeah.
Alright, so we're
that's a
pretty
good idea.
much done, but, like, we also, like, you couldn't hear me for a couple minutes, so let's just go over this game really quick, and then we'll call it.
Okay, yeah, sounds good.
Okay, this is something I noticed that happened. So first of all, this happens at the beginning, and it's like, okay, when the match starts, don't corner yourself. That's just like one of the basic universal patterns.
I think I corner myself because I want space on small stages, and I don't know what to do about that.
Why do you want space?
What do I do about Yoshi's and Fountain?
Why do you want space?
I just don't want to go into a scramble right away. I just don't feel like I'm ready for it. Like, I want to like be able to like play a little bit and get the hang of what they're doing, and then I'll play with them. But like, I don't want to rush into a scramble.
I mean, you don't have to rush into a scramble. Like, you could just like shoot a laser. Like, you could shoot a laser,
like
drop,
on the side,
or drop shoot a laser. You're high enough here to do it, or short hop off and shoot a laser, and then full hop. Like, because it's like it's like you didn't get what you wanted anyway, and this is just the truth. Is like on Stadium, or sorry, not on Stadium, on Yoshi's and Fountain. Like, when the game starts, your opponent can force some form of interaction, and it's just how it is. Like, just shoot a laser, do a mix up, and you know, keep going and try. You can try to play it safe, but you don't want to like super corner yourself like that. It just ends up bad. Like, you'd be better off right here, just literally, like, shield dropping and then crouching, and then when he jumps above you, rolling or something like that, than, like, going into the corner.
I see. Okay. Yeah, because the corner is like intentional by me. Like I do
Yeah,
it
and
because it's so
it's just
small.
bad
But
against Marth. Because then you have to work your way out of
yeah,
the
yeah,
corner.
okay.
I don't know, I was gonna say I did notice that your approaching lasers are a little too low. Something to keep in mind.
Yeah, yeah.
That happened a couple times. Okay. Just like kind of careless movement here. Overcommitting. Not establishing laser control. And then you just get comboed. That's what happens. Okay, playing too vertical. See, this game has super different issues than the other games. And so I would almost chalk up a lot of stuff in this game to fountain. So I'd be like, okay, I clearly have to work on like the fountain stuff separately. That seems like a really
Yes, yeah.
different issue from like my other issues because the patterns are not like repeating. These aren't the same mistakes you were making in the other games, and so you have to find a way to categorize them or like separate them. Um, so what I would probably do is I'd be like, well, I'm gonna think about Fountain as a whole, and try to understand it a little bit better. And then at the same time, I will be working on the issues that I noticed in the non-Fountain games. That's kind of how I would look
Right,
at it.
right.
Like, okay, maybe when I play Fountain, I try to stay grounded in center, and I just really try to fight that out rather than like going to the edges because that's not really working, and going high is not really working. So it's like, all right, maybe just in general, try to stay centered and grounded there, and then on the other stages, I'll work on like the not overcommitting into the corner thing and stuff like that. But honestly, there wasn't like a huge amount that I would draw from these games. I would more like once I get that one thing of like, all right, fine, stop committing into the corner as much, then I'll just go play more games where because I'm not stupidly committing into the corner ever, it can't possibly be the issue. So because it can no longer possibly
True.
be the
Yeah.
issue, the VODs will clearly show some other mistakes that I'm making, and then I'll go over those. So it's kind of like a process of trying to like remove dumb mistakes to get close to then record new VODs where you can like get better mistakes recorded. Or maybe sometimes you find issues where you're like, dude, all I do is approaching laser into Marth Nair. And it's like you can't really like learn that much from your VODs if every time you die is because you're approaching laser into Marth Nair, right? But then when
Yeah.
you stop approaching lasering into Marth Nair and you start doing these better options, you still are losing, and then you can figure out why, and maybe after you stop the dumb thing and now you're not getting hit by it anymore, then the real issue comes out, and when you fix the real issue, maybe you get a way larger improvement than you would otherwise, you know?
Yes, yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
All right. Any extra questions or thoughts? I'm kind of curious what you thought of the lesson. It was a lot of me talking abstractly, and I'm like, I try to avoid that a little bit because sometimes it can be hard, like, to give people stuff that's not tied down. But I don't know. What do you think?
No, I think it's, I think, I don't play or listen to play with or listen to top players very often. So, like, anytime I can get some insight into how, like, they think or what their strategies are, or like generally like how they broadly think about the game, like, it feels like it's pretty helpful. Because you know, I think I'm like there's some things that I've been able to kind of figure out on my own, but I don't know. Sometimes I just I feel like the overarching theme of me not becoming at the not being the level I want to be at, like that is always present. So there must be something that I'm doing wrong. So it
Mm-hmm.
feels like it's good to like even just like even just get scattered ideas here and there from top players. It feels like there's something there that I can find, I can glean, and or like if I play with it enough, like the ideas that you give me, eventually I'll find something. And like you've been
Yeah.
telling me for a while that I should like work on being more speedy and aggressive, and like I've dabbled with it, and like I think that ultimately like I realized I'm like I don't really know what I'm doing. Like I don't feel like I have a specific chart or plan to improve
Mm-hmm.
using if I just like am telling myself to go faster. But like I think like talking about it a little bit more with you, like being like that I would focus more on just moving your hands as fast as possible and not worrying about what your brain is thinking. Maybe look at yourself more and not worry about what your opponent's doing. Like these like talks are helpful because they kind of like help me piece together. Like I learned so much just from like talking to people all the time. So I always think these lessons are super productive.
Okay. Nice. There's one other thing that I thought of. I used to tell people this a lot, and I kind of forgot about it. And I'm not even sure how useful it'll be in this context, but it definitely related a little bit to what we were talking about near the beginning of the lesson. Whereas, like, I try to tell people, like, don't think of it as, like, you're a bad player and you need to climb your way up to being good. Try to think of it as, like, you, like, the illustration I give is pretend you're, like, Leffen, and you had a stroke, and you need to relearn how to be good. So, like, take it as from the position of, like, okay, I'm Leffen, but I lost my memory. How do I get good again? And that helps some people more than others. Some people are like, dude, that blew my mind. I totally changed how I practice. And other people are like, that makes no sense. So, it might or might not be useful, but I thought of it, and it's been a while, so I thought it'd be funny to bring up.
Yeah, I wonder, do you think it's like the confidence that helps people when they hear that? Like
it's not the confidence, it's like the expectations. Like expecting to be fast, hit hard, avoid your opponent, hold stocks, play neutral well. Like when you get hit, not being like, oh no, they're just gonna destroy me, being like, okay, like they hit me. Like if I was Leffen, what would I do? Like do you see yourself as, what's that thing like where people see themselves as like a temporarily embarrassed millionaire or something like that? In Melee, it's kind of beneficial to look at it like that, to like have these expectations for yourself to play at a really high level, rather than just being like, well, I expect myself to play at this level and then kind of trying to improve off of that. Like, you need really high expectations if you're trying to get good fast. And not expectations for your performance, but expectations for, like, how you play the game. Like, if, you're having 60-second games against Marth, you have to take a step back and be like, is that, like, am I playing the game like I'm good? Like, do I really believe that I'm better than them if I'm playing like that? Because a lot of times you just that's like a tilted state of mind and kind of just get frustrated, or like, oh, they're just destroying me or something like that. So a lot of times it's just like a mental thing. Or like when you miss a punish, some people, they just, like, it happens with like Sheik mains, where they like get a down throw tech chase, and they just like forward tilt the tech behind, and they just miss it because they read tech in place. And then they just keep playing the game, and there's no self-flagellation at all. They're not whipping themselves. They're not yelling at themselves. I'm kind of kidding. It's like, you shouldn't be mean to yourself. But when you miss the tech chase, there needs to be a moment of like, whoa, I can't be missing those because I'm a top 5 player, and top 5 players don't miss those. That's what I mean. So it's sort of like a perspective difference. If you're really trying to reach the top level, you have to expect great things from yourself in terms of gameplay.
Yeah, for sure. I think that makes sense.
But yeah, it's kind of a little extra thing. Wasn't super related to everything else in the lesson.
No, yeah, that's good to keep in mind. I think I do have pretty high expectations of myself, but more of my results, I think, probably less of my gameplay.
Yeah, and so exactly. So all I'm saying right now is I think a good direction for you to move is have good expectations for yourself in terms of speed. Like, your expectation is like, you need to be faster than every Falco you fight, because you're the best Falco of all time. Yeah, that's how I see myself right now. I'm like, okay, like, that's why I made that post where, like, I gotta be the most cracked Falco. It's like, why? Well, it's like, the best Falco of all time would clearly be more cracked than the other Falcos, And if that's going to be me, I need to be more cracked than all the other Falcos, and smarter than them, and better with lasers. So these expectations do play a part in how you move forward with the game.
Right. You're kind of manifesting the crackness, so to speak, yeah.
Manifesting it by expecting it from yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that makes sense. That's a good idea.
But all right, man. It was good talking with you. Um,
Yeah,
we went a
fun
little
talk.
bit over, but I think it was worth it, and we had a couple dead zones, so it doesn't matter at all. Um, yeah, let me know if you get confused or you're thinking about this stuff anymore and you have questions. Hit me up about it. It's totally fine. It's a bit abstract, so I would understand if you're like, wait a minute, this may be conflicted or something. Can you describe that or whatever? Like, I'm definitely here to answer those.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Yeah, I'll definitely hit you up.
All right, sick dude. Have a good one.
All right,
You
thanks,
already
man.
have
You
my
too.
payment info, right? I assume.
Yep. Yep.
All right, great.
Yep.
All right, peace.
All right. Peace out, man.